G'day all, it's Colin from PCTLC and thanks for joining me. We're going to be installing Linux Mint 19.1 XFCE. So let's get on with that. Let's start the install process. And I think you'll find it looks very similar to the flagship desktop Cinnamon anyway. I think all the Linux Mint installs are all very similar. Okay, I'm going to go for something else here. Reformatted the disk. So I've got my EFI there, so let's double click that. EFI, that's all good. What I want to do there is actually, I like to delete that one. So we'll press the minus button, delete it. Now it's free space, and then we'll recreate it. That way, just making sure that there's no leftover EFI pieces from other operating systems on there. That's why I do that. So we just click the plus button to add. We'll make it EFI system partition and OK. And we've got our swap and this one here, which had Ubuntu Disco Dingo, which was one of the Ubuntus I was trying out there. So we ext4. Format the partition and mount point is root. Okay. I've just noticed, I don't know what's changed there. That's SDA5. I don't want that to be SDA5. It should be SDA1. So I've done something wrong there. So we'll recreate that. Oh, see, it was on logical. I want it as a primary. I don't know why it defaults to logical. Should default to primary and make it logical if you want. So EFI partition. Okay. Okay, now it's SDA 1, 2, 3, 4, so they're all in order. And then this one is going, device for bootloader installation is SDA 1, which is my EFI, and that's install now. Continue that. Australia Perth. Okay, so that is the installation complete. That was a pretty simple thing to do. Didn't take that long. So we will see you in the freshly installed desktop. So here we are in the back in the freshly installed desktop of Linux Mint X 19.1 XFCE. So we have a welcome screen here. We also have the updater, which has got some now there was something there telling you on this previous screen. I actually clicked past that. I just clicked OK anyway. It's asking me to set up snapshots. So what we're going to do, I don't really want to do snapshots because I back up my own stuff. So what we do is we go to Edit, Preferences, and untick Show a warning if system snapshots are not set up, and apply that, and then we'll be all good from there. And then we can switch to our local mirror. So let's have a look at what's available on the mirrors there. There's normally an RNet, Internode. I don't know where RNet is, it's not showing up there. Internode's the fastest one on this occasion. You can leave it longer, there might be some others show up, but that should be good enough. And then this one here, click on that. There's the RNet one there, but this IINet one looks like it's going to be the fastest. This one's here is pretty quick, so we'll go with that and click OK. And these setups are no different between Linux Mint, Cinnamon, Mate and XFCE. We'll be having a look at the Mate, but I believe that all these setups are exactly the same. They're very consistent across the board. Okay, so that's the mirrors done, and we've got the update here. So let's install these updates first. Just get this machine up to date. We can run through the welcome screen. Got our first steps, system snapshots, driver manager, update manager, software manager, firewall, system settings. So a few things there. So first of all, let's do these updates, install those. Okay. Okay, so while we're doing the updates, we'll just run through this welcome screen. So you got the welcome to Linux Mint. This screen will guide you through your first steps. So first steps, system snapshots, you can do that. That already, once you get the updater going, it'll make you jump onto snapshots anyway, unless you do what I did and edit and choose to not show the reminder of snapshots. You got your driver manager for Nvidia install and so forth. Your update manager, which is what we're doing now. Your system settings, so you can launch any of these here. So system settings will launch, and that takes you into the XFCE settings there. And you got your software manager. I won't open that yet because we're updating. And then you got your firewall. And you got documentation. So that's a link to online. Shows you documentation about Linux Mint and shows you the new features and takes you to the release notes as well, just in case you're a follower of Linux Mint and you've updated and you want to know, the release notes and what any issues there may be. You got your web forums, your IRC chat room, and then contribute, which is another launch button there. So everything's got a launch button. Pretty handy, so I don't want to show that again. Okay, so that's the updates complete. So what I think we'll do is, always after updates I like to restart and refresh the distro, so we'll do that and I will be back. Okay, so we have updated and restarted, so everything's up to date now, and we shall have a look around the desktop. I noticed in Linux Mint XFCE, and I don't know if it was in there last time, it's been a long time since I've used Linux Mint XFCE, but they've got the Compiz config settings manager, probably pretty handy, but I'm not sure what this does or what influence it has on the desktop, if any at all, although there are a few things checked off, but wobbly windows, but that's not wobbly, is it? So I don't know what the deal is there. So first of all, let's do a couple little setups. Now, simple screen recorder. Now, XFCE is XFCE. So the difference between different bases and different distro bases and all that is what they include with XFCE to make it more user-friendly or supplement the distro in some way. So that's mainly the difference. So what I'll do here is I want a simple screen recorder added to the panel down here. So I right click and add new items. I'm going to add a launcher and add that and close. Right click on the launcher and go to properties. Click on the plus button, add one or more existing items to the launcher. So if I search for simple screen recorder, that one there, click on that and click add. Now you can choose to add more if you want. So if I add a second one to this, menu editor, let's try that, menu editor, click on that and add, and then close. So what happens there is you get a little sub menu. So this menu here, this is your main one, you click on that, it'll open, but if you click on the arrow here, then this menu will expand as you keep adding. I don't really want to do that, so I'll click on that and click delete the currently selected item, delete, close. So that's just for simple screen recorder, so we can move that, and I'll move it over to here. So where the red line is where you put it, like so, and then I've got a shortcut to simple screen recorder. Now the other thing is, depending where you want your panel, now I tend to find that I like to have this menu here down the bottom if my panel's at the bottom. So if we go to panel preferences and we put the panel up the top, lock panel. So we've got to unlock panel. It's been a while since I've done XFCE. When you grab that and move it up to the top, and then you can lock panel. So as you can see, the menu, so that still ends up down there, doesn't it? Yes, it does. All right, so let's put that back down the bottom. So that's how you move your panel. Let's lock that again. Let's right click whisker menu and go to properties. And we can put, I think, is it that one? No, it's not. Give me a minute to remember. Behavior. Okay, so position commands next to search entry, I think it is. And there they are there. And position categories next to panel button. If we uncheck that, then we get this one on this side and the categories on this side. Sometimes I like them one way and sometimes I like them the other way, but this way will do for now. That way you get your categories straight up, and then I think your favorites are the first one that comes up. So if you don't hover over anything in here and go straight to here, it'll stay on favorites, but as soon as you go to there, your favorites are gone. So sometimes it can be handy to have this on this side because then your favorites are directly in your path. So if we did that, so then you got your favorites, then they cannot be interrupted. It's favorites straight up. So it just depends. That's a personal thing. I'll change that back around. I'll do it that way for now. So let's have a look at the XFCE settings. So let's go into settings and go to settings manager and XFCE settings. Well, we've got appearance. So they're using the typical XFCE appearances, and you got the variations of colors in there. So it's the same with cinnamon. I think cinnamon doesn't have as many as what you would in XFCE. Icons as well, so you got the different variations of the mint icons there as well. So I won't change any of that, I'll leave it on default. Oh, shouldn't have done that, should I? Settings. Now what I might do is just put the window settings manager into favorites and go straight to there. So pretty much they're your typical XFCE settings anyway. Desktop will take you to the wallpapers. Where's the back button? Oh, all settings, there we go. Desktop settings. So I didn't know that. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know they had that in desktop settings. That's a new one to me. That's how long I've been away from. So they got the compiz there. That's why compiz is not doing anything, because it's not enabled. So there we go. Well, I'm glad I went that extra step and had a look. Wow, it's a little bit so that's set to go only half a screen up the top. That would probably need to be set in the settings. So that was the desktop settings, file manager, display, behavior, advanced. So you've got different things you can do for the file manager preferences, and I would have to think that edit and preferences will be there as well. So yep, so it's the same thing. Notifications, different settings for notifications there as well, with a do not disturb. So you can turn on do not disturb here. Applications, log, it's an empty log. Appearance, so you've got different themes for your notifications. Nice. Panel,
lock the panel. So they're your panel settings. Preferred applications, so Thunderbird, yep, and utilities, Thunar and terminal, yep. Window Manager, which Window Manager probably won't open, and either will Window Manager tweaks, because we're now running from the desktop settings the compiz, so they are not available. So that's, if you're wondering why they're not opening, that's the reason. They would have to be turned off because of the compiz. You've got workspaces, so you can have different workspaces available. And I'd have to think that with the workspaces, if we hold Control, Alt and right arrow, we can spin that around. Yep. So there's 4 workspaces here. Is that what that said? 4? I didn't look. It's only 1. 2, 3, 4. Close. 4 workspaces. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to there. Yep. XFCE terminal. Got different different behaviors in here. Behavior and all sorts of things for the terminal. So you can go through that. Display. Can change settings on your display. Bluetooth. Yep, that's if it works. Bluetooth works sometimes. If I ever try to send a file from my phone through Bluetooth, that's just a test that I do for Bluetooth. Just to send a simple picture or something via my phone to the desktop. Rarely works. I haven't tried it these days. It may be working now. I don't know. So you got keyboard settings there, and you got your application shortcuts and so forth. Mouse and touchpad. Behaviors. Theme. Power Manager. Removable devices, what to do. Auto programs on new drives and media, so there's a few options there as well. Accessibility, if you need some of those settings there. Driver Manager we've seen. Firewall, I don't know if it's on, you need to put in your password. So to turn your firewall on, just toggle that on there, that button, and your firewall will be on. So let's just check that out. And then your firewall is on. Input method was a new thing that they had in 19. Yep. So input methods are used to write symbols and characters which are not present on the keyboard. They are useful to write in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Thai, and Vietnamese. Okay. Languages. So you can choose different languages. Login window, you can mess around with that as well. You've got to put your password in to do so. And you can change your background on the login screen and so forth, and different users and settings here. So MIME type, I'm not really sure what that does. Don't mess around with that at all very much. Session startup. Auto start applications from here. Software Manager was seen. Software sources. Password again. If you want to change your software sources, then you can add PPAs, additional repositories, and go through maintenance there. Plenty of options to sort out any issues you might be having. Update Manager we've seen, and Settings Editor. So that's just a very quick look at the settings. Now, there is one thing, and I probably can't get to my network now because the firewall is on. Normally that messes up. There we go. So I've really struggled to find the best way to get that through that firewall. I've sort of messed around with it, but haven't really knuckled down on the problem. It's probably a simple thing. So we'll go to the firewall and just turn that off for a minute. So toggle that off for now. So you've got to do rules and so forth. I've never found that a fix for that. Have to work on that one day. It's probably a simple thing. I'll just turn it off and do what I need to do. So it's still failed. That's unusual. I'd probably have to log out and log back in, I think. Let's have a look at what we've got, what else we have in here. Let's go to all and just scroll down and see what they have. They've got the backup tool there, which is, what's it called again? Time shift, isn't it, I think? Restore, backup now. You can back up your software selection as well, so you can choose it all. I think it just installs it on a fresh install. I believe that's how that works. So we'll just quickly run down the list. You can check it out. I'll just scroll one by one. Nothing's really sticking out at me. It's pretty much your standard XFCE. Got Redshift by default. Simple screen recorder I installed. They got Synaptic Package Manager in there. And yep, there's Time Shift. So Time Shift is different to the backup tool. You got your USB writer and formatter. Transmission. So that's pretty much it. It's XFCE, but guaranteed if it's Linux Mint, it'll be very solid. You'll have no issues pretty much when it comes to Linux Mint, and very reliable. So that's what Linux Mint is mainly all about. So you have software. So let's have a look at software. Now they have the Flatpak down here, so you can have a look at what's available through Flatpak. So they have their own menu for Flatpak, so there's no sort of second guessing what they are. These will all be Flatpaks. So that has its own category of its own, and then you've got the rest of the categories here. You've got editors picks up the top here, which is probably some of the most popular applications, more than likely, that they know that people will probably more than likely install. So they've got them up the top, front and center. So that looks pretty good. And the software center is fast and it just works, and that's all you would expect from Linux Mint anyway. So Firefox is the web browser by default. Just have a quick look at the about, help and about Firefox. 66.02. Right click and desktop settings will take you to wallpapers. Linux Mint are never short on really good wallpapers, I must say, and these ones are truly stunning as well. So very nice wallpapers. What's this one here? Where did that go? Some sort of abstract. Yeah, abstract. That's the word I'm looking for. And there's a few others as well. So yep, no shortage of good images in Linux Mint. That's nice. Oh. And they got their own branded ones as well. So pretty good. Pretty good desktop wallpapers there, which you would expect from Linux Mint. They always have some really good wallpapers. But to install the Nvidia driver and see whether screen tearing is active there, that's That'd be another thing. So I might just actually do that. I might, if we go driver manager, let's install the Nvidia driver and see what happens, because I've got a bit of a fix for the Ubuntu, for the GNOME-based Ubuntu GNOME-based versions now. So, and I'll be doing a video about that. So let's apply that. Okay, so that's the Nvidia driver installed. I will restart and then we will come back to the desktop and check that out. So here we are back in the desktop. Good news, it restarted, no black screen or anything like that, so that's good. So let's just check out Firefox and YouTube screen tearing to see whether there's any screen tearing. You can tell there's a logo down there for Nvidia, so I'm definitely running Nvidia graphics. And I have screen tearing, so that's interesting, even with that running. So that's interesting. I don't know whether in the settings manager, no, it's the Windows settings and Windows manager tweaks, whether we need to back off on the composition or whether that's already been done. Well, actually, you can't even get into the tweaks, so it's obviously turned that off. So this fix here is one that I did on Zorin, and it's worked on Ubuntu Budgie, it's worked 1904, Ubuntu 1904. It's worked on all of them so far. I don't know if it'll work on XFCE, but we can certainly give it a try. Let's copy that to the terminal and press enter. As long as you're using gedit, if you're not using gedit, you need to change that name to your default text editor, which is in this case, which will be Z, I think it's called. I'll take a stab in the dark. I'm pretty sure that's what XED. And there we go. So then what we do is we copy this one to that file. Oh, it's failed. Let's have a quick look here. We can open as root in this one, can't we? It failed. So it's meant to be in, let's go to File System, Etsy, where is it? Etsy modprobe.d. And let's create, well, go back one, open as root. This is the graphical way to do it, and then create a empty file called this. Create that, open that, and then we paste that command in there, save it, then we run this one in terminal, just hope it doesn't mess up the XFCE. But this has been proven to work on quite a lot of them because this is the fix for my Optimus Nvidia. So I was going to do a video on that anyway, and which I will. This is just something I thought I'd try because I've still got screen tearing with the what's her name running. So I'm going to have to restart the system. So we'll do that, and I'll be back. Okay, so if it starts up, no black screen and everything, I gauge that as being pretty good. So for starters, so let's go back to YouTube and check it out. YouTube screen tearing test, and there you go. Screen tearing has been eliminated So this is just a bit of a bonus video, but I'm going to do a video about this anyway. So I thought, since I'm looking around the XFCE desktop, I'm running Nvidia, why not try that anyway? And it's worked on, I think it's mainly Ubuntu base. I don't know if it works on any other base at this point in time, but that's fixed that, and I'm running Nvidia, as you can see. And the reason for that, Nvidia settings, if you have a look in here, I don't have, and I'm glad I found this little fix, because in here it should have unflip or flip or whatever. There's a flip setting that I never get on the Optimus, and this so far has proven to be a really good fix for my Optimus Nvidia card. So that is great. So there's no screen tearing there. Running Nvidia, and I've also got a little bit of wobbly windows happening there as well. So that's pretty cool. You can turn that off, and let's just go back to the settings manager, desktop settings, and yep, compiz. You can go back to Metacity, or what were we running to start with? I can't remember what the default was now. We'll just leave it on compiz for now. So anyway, make sure you check what the defaults are, just in case you want to change it back. So that was the Linux Mint 19.1 XFCE desktop install and look around. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting and informative, and thanks for watching.